I used to think the scariest part of Christmas Eve was the waiting. I was wrong. Someone was already waiting for me. Christmas Eve has always been loud in my house, even when everyone's asleep. The heater clicks on and off, the old floorboards pop as they cool, and the wind rattles the loose siding like someone pacing outside. That night, I went to bed around midnight, earbuds in, trying to fall asleep to music while imagining the morning. I was 16, old enough to know Santa wasn't real, but young enough to still enjoy the ritual my dad staying up late, putting presents under the tree, making it all feel magical for my little sister. I remember taking my earbuds out because I heard footsteps downstairs. They were slow and heavy, moving from the living room toward the kitchen. I smiled to myself, thinking my dad was doing that thing where he intentionally stomped around to mess with us. He'd done it every year since I was little. I rolled over, pulled my blanket up, and closed my eyes. Then the footsteps stopped. A few seconds later, I heard them again, but closer. Not downstairs this time. On the stairs. Our staircase is narrow and creaky, and you can tell exactly where someone is by the sound. These steps were deliberate, one at a time, like whoever it was making sure to be heard. I assumed it was still my dad, maybe heading to the bathroom. I almost called out to him to keep it down. Almost, because halfway up the stairs, the steps paused. There was a long silence, broken only by the hum of the heater and the faint buzz of the Christmas lights plugged in downstairs. Then something brushed against the wall outside my room, a soft dragging sound like fabric. I sat up in bed, suddenly very awake. My bedroom door was cracked open, just enough to let the hallway light spill in. I stared at that thin line of yellow, waiting for a shadow to pass, for my dad's familiar shape to move by. Instead, a voice whispered my name. It was low, slow, cheerful in a way that made my stomach drop. Merry Christmas. The words came from right outside my door. I froze. I didn't respond. I didn't breathe. I listened as my heart pounded so hard I was sure whoever was out there could hear it. I expected laughter, or my dad's voice breaking character. None of that happened. The presence outside my room lingered. I could sense it. The air felt heavier, like the hallway was being pressed inward. Then, quietly, whoever it was moved on. The floor creaked again, this time heading toward my parents' bedroom. That's when panic set in. I grabbed my phone and texted my dad, "Are you upstairs?" The typing bubble didn't appear. A few seconds later, I heard my parents' bedroom door open. My mom screamed. The sound that followed was chaos shouting, scrambling footsteps, my dad yelling my name. I ran out of my room just as my parents slammed their door shut and locked it. My dad grabbed me and pulled me inside as my mom called 911 with shaking hands. She kept saying the same thing over and over. He was already inside. He was already inside. The police arrived within minutes. They searched the house top to bottom. The front door was unlocked. The Christmas tree lights were still on. Under the tree, among the neatly wrapped gifts, was a single extra present. None of us recognized it. It was wrapped in thick red paper with a cheap plastic bow. No tag, no name, just sitting there like it belonged. The police told us not to touch it. They took it outside and opened it on the porch. Inside was a Santa hat, not a new one. It was dirty, flattened, and damp, like it had been worn for hours. The officer holding it went quiet when he turned it over. In messy black stitching was my name. They never found who broke into our house that night. No fingerprints, no footprints in the frost outside. No neighbors saw anything. The police suggested it was someone mentally unstable, someone who'd been watching our house. We moved a month later. Every Christmas since, I still wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps that aren't there. And sometimes, just as I'm drifting back to sleep, I swear I can hear a familiar voice in the hallway, softly whispering, Merry Christmas. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from, country or city. The knocking didn't sound urgent. That's what scared me the most. I live alone in a rural part of northern Michigan, about 20 minutes from the nearest town and far enough from the road that you can't see my house unless you're looking for it. Christmas night that year was brutal, one of those blizzards where the snow doesn't fall so much as a tack. The wind howled constantly, slamming into the siding, filling the darkness with a low, endless roar. By midnight, the power had flickered twice, and my phone had no signal. I was half asleep on the couch when I heard the first knock. It was slow. 3 solid knocks, evenly spaced. Not loud enough to be panicked, not weak enough to be polite. Just confident. I sat up, heart instantly racing, and muted the TV. Outside, the storm raged on, wind pushing snow sideways across the porch light. No one ever comes to my house unannounced, especially not during a blizzard. I stayed still, listening. After a few seconds, the knocking came again. Same rhythm, same force. I grabbed my phone and checked the security app. I'd installed a camera after a break-in down the road a few years back. The screen loaded slowly, buffering through the weak Wi-Fi until the porch view finally appeared. There was a man standing on my porch. He was tall, bundled in a dark coat, his head bowed slightly against the wind. Snow blew around him in thick sheets, collecting on the railing, the steps, the ground. He looked normal enough, except for the way he stood completely still, as if the storm didn't affect him at all. Then he looked up, straight at the camera. My stomach tightened. The feed didn't show any footprints leading up to the porch. The snow was smooth, untouched, no tracks, no disturbance. I told myself the camera angle just didn't catch them. It had to be that. Another knock echoed through the house. I called out through the door, my voice sounding small even to me. "Who is it?" A moment passed. Then, through the thick wood and howling wind, came a man's voice. Calm, cold, too clear for the conditions. "I need to come in," he said. "It's freezing out here." I swallowed hard and glanced back at the camera. He hadn't moved. His face was pale, eyes dark and fixed on the door. Snow should have been clinging to his shoulders, his hood, his beard, but there was barely any on him at all. "Where are you coming from?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly, as if listening closely. "From far away," he replied. That answer made my skin crawl. I told him I was calling the police. I didn't move toward the door. I didn't move at all. The man didn't react. He just stood there, breathing slow, visible puffs of air curling from his mouth. Then he smiled. "I'll wait," he said. The knocking stopped. Minutes passed. I stayed glued to the screen, watching him stand there in the storm. The snow kept piling up around the porch, the steps slowly disappearing beneath it. Still no footprints, still no movement. I tried calling 911, but the call wouldn't go through. No signal. The landline crackled with nothing but static. That's when the knocking started again, this time from the back of the house. My blood ran cold. I spun around, listening. The back door was reinforced steel, rarely used, and it took effort to reach through the drifting snow. The knocks were harder there, angrier, like whoever it was had grown impatient. I checked the back camera. The screen showed the same man standing in the exact same posture, inches from the back door. The snow behind him was just as untouched. I stumbled back, my legs shaking. There was no way he could have moved that fast. No way he could have walked around the house without leaving tracks. No way he should have been standing there at all. The knocking continued, steady and relentless. "Let me in," he said, his voice now closer, clearer, as if the door between us was thinner than it should have been. "You're being rude." I locked myself in the bathroom with my phone and waited, listening to the sound of fists on metal echo through the house. At some point, the knocking stopped, the storm raged on. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I finally worked up the nerve to look outside. The snow had buried everything overnight. The porch steps were completely covered. The yard was a blank white canvas. No footprints, no tracks, no sign that anyone had ever been there. Except for one thing. Pressed into the snow directly in front of the door, too deep, too perfect, was the clear outline of a single hand. To this day, every Christmas night, when the wind gets loud enough, I swear I can hear knocking beneath it, patient, steady, and waiting for me to answer. The smell hit me before the memory did, and when I finally recognized both, I knew I wasn't alone in my house anymore. I moved back into my childhood home the winter after my father died. It was an old place built sometime in the 1950s, sitting just outside a small town where everyone knew everyone else, or at least pretended to. The house had been empty for almost a year, and by December, it felt wrong to let Christmas pass without decorations. So a week before Christmas Eve, I went down to the basement to look for the old boxes. The basement had always bothered me. It wasn't finished, just concrete floors, exposed beams, and a single bare bulb hanging from a pull string. When I turned the light on, it flickered before settling into a dull yellow glow that barely reached the corners. The air was cold and stale, carrying that unmistakable mix of dust, mildew, and something older. I found the boxes easily enough. They were stacked against the far wall, exactly where my dad had always kept them. As I dragged the first one out, my foot bumped into something soft behind me. I turned around and froze. Hanging from a rusted nail in one of the support beams was a Santa suit. Not folded, not boxed. Just hanging there, limp and heavy, like someone had taken it off and left it behind in a hurry. The red fabric was dull with age. The white trim yellowed and clumped together. It was coated in dust thick enough that my fingerprints showed when I touched the sleeve. I stared at it longer than I should have. My dad had never dressed up as Santa. He hated the holiday, tolerated it at best. I couldn't remember a single Christmas where he'd worn anything festive, let alone gone through the effort of buying and storing a full suit. I told myself it was probably something left behind by the previous owners. The house had changed hands before we moved in, decades ago. Still, something about the way it hung arms slightly bent, the hood sagging forward, made it look occupied. I reached out and tugged the sleeve. That's when I noticed the stains. They were dark brown, almost black in places, soaked deep into the fabric along the cuffs and lower torso. At first, I thought it was oil or old paint, but the pattern didn't make sense. The stains were smeared, uneven, like someone had tried to wipe them away with shaking hands. And then a memory surfaced that made my chest tighten. When I was a kid, there was a story everyone in town knew. A man named Walter Briggs had disappeared on Christmas Eve sometime in the late 1980s. He'd volunteered as a mall Santa and never made it home that night. His car was found abandoned near the edge of town. Driver's door open, Santa hat sitting on the seat. They never found him. I stepped closer to the suit, my pulse thudding in my ears. The smell I'd noticed earlier suddenly made sense. Iron and rot buried beneath decades of dust. I backed away and almost tripped over the boxes. I went upstairs and locked the basement door behind me. At night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured the suit swaying gently in the dark, as if the basement had its own breath. Around 2 a.m., I heard a sound beneath my feet, a soft creak, like someone shifting their weight. I told myself it was the house settling. The next morning, I went to the local library. I didn't really plan to. I just found myself there, scrolling through old microfilm records until my eyes burned. Eventually, I found it. An article about Walter Briggs. There was a grainy black and white photo of him smiling awkwardly in a Santa suit. The stains were in the same places. Same cuffs. Same dark blotches along the stomach. I left the library shaking. When I got home, the basement door was open. I stood at the top of the stairs for a long time, listening. The light was on. I hadn't left it on. Slowly, I descended, each step louder than the last. The air felt heavier, colder, like the basement had been sealed off from the rest of the world. The Santa suit was no longer hanging from the beam. It was laid out on the floor, carefully, arms straight, legs aligned. The hood turned upward, as if waiting to be filled. The dust around it was disturbed, marked by long drag lines that led back into the darkness beneath the stairs. I didn't call the police. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me knew there was nothing they could do. I moved out 2 days later and never went back. The house sold quickly. New owners, fresh paint, a clean start. Last Christmas Eve, I drove past it for the first time since leaving. The basement light was on, and hanging in the window, just visible through the glass, was a flash of red and white standing upright this time, as if someone inside had finally decided to wear it again.